Unbelievable. The only place you are hearing about this story is here or on Fox News. Nobody is covering the biggest political scandal of our time. Joining me right now is Ohio Congressman, House Judiciary Committee and House Oversight and Reform Committee member Jim Jordan. Congressman, thank you so much for being here. It is great to have you. We have so much to discuss. First of all, I got to get your take on John Ratcliffe declassifying this information. Yeah. We have a line into the Russian intelligence watching others. The Russian intelligence watching others comes up with a report and says Hillary Clinton approved the plan to tie Trump to Russia. For 3 years, the country was up in arms about Russia colluding with Trump. And in fact, it was just one political opponent making up stories about another political opponent. Your reaction?
Yeah. No, as is so often the case, the Democrats accuse us of what they're doing. Turns out, based on Mr. Ratcliffe's uncovering this information and presenting it to us, turns out it was the Clinton campaign working with the Russians to create this fake hoax, this idea that it was actually the Trump campaign who was working with the Russians to influence elections. It was just the opposite. So, as you said, we've lived through this now. This thing started 4 years ago, more than 4 years ago, July 2016. All built on a false premise, no predicate for starting this investigation in the first place. Thank goodness Rick Grinnell released the information he did, the transcripts, which showed Clapper, Brennan, Rice, all these people saying, yeah, now that I have to testify under oath, there was nothing there. There never was any collusion, any evidence of coordination between Trump campaign and Russia. There never was. But what there is evidence of, now that John Ratcliffe's released this information, is the Russians were working with the Clinton campaign. And it just goes to show the only thing we had wrong about all this, I've said this many times, the only thing we had wrong, Maria, is it was worse than we thought.
Look, you can't say that Hillary Clinton should go to jail for this. It's not that. This is the FBI. Anybody could say anything about their opponent, and that's what Hillary Clinton was doing. But the fact that the FBI was complicit, that she was able to get the U.S. government intelligence agencies to work with her, and we know that the CIA and the FBI were both involved in trying to take down Trump. What do you make of these sources telling me and also telling the Federalist that current CIA Director Gina Haspel is trying to stop any more declassification of documentation? Remember, while Brennan was running around trying to come up with stories against Trump, she was running the CIA in London.
Yeah, well, if that's true, it's frankly nothing new. I mean, what has Chris Wray helped us uncover? But for the work of Rick Grinnell, but for the work of John Ratcliffe, but for the work of the Attorney General, we wouldn't know any of this. So, frankly, it's nothing new. I think she's wrong. I think the president's going to, if the Federalist story is accurate, I think she's wrong. I think President Trump is going to win. I think he's going to win Ohio big like he did 4 years ago. I think he's going to be the president. I do think we're ultimately going to get to the bottom of this because I have faith in John Ratcliffe, just like we had faith in Rick Grinnell getting the information the American people need to get. But this whole thing, as you point out, was they used the...
Congressman, it feels like they're getting away with it, okay? It feels like they're getting away with it. I recently reported that I have been told that we're not going to get any indictments before the election. We're not going to get any interim report from John Durham. And here you have another U.S. attorney stepping down. U.S. Attorney John Bash was tasked in May by AG Barr to investigate the unmasking of Obama by Obama officials. He's resigned on Friday. What's that about?
Look, I don't think we should read too much into that. I know Mr. Bash is stepping down. Look, I'm as frustrated as you. I wanted information out. The folks I get the privilege of representing in the 4th District of Ohio, they bring this issue up all the time. As I'm traveling around the state, traveling around the country, I get that question all the time. That fundamental question, when is someone going to jail? So, look, I wanted the investigation completed by Mr. Durham. It obviously isn't. When that happens, I don't know. That's up to the Attorney General, up to Mr. Durham. Okay. But I'm still confident in the good work that Bill Barr has done. You know, Mr. Jensen, but for the work of Mr. Jensen, we wouldn't know what they did to Michael Flynn. So John Durham is doing his investigation. Let's hope we get that information as soon as possible, and ultimately the American people can get the full picture, the full truth.
They're really showing themselves to do really well. Come on, man.